What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Plain Awesome Dad. Today I'm going to be doing some light lawn leveling with some peat moss into areas of my Bermuda that aren't quite as thick as the rest of the lawn, that I just want to add a little bit of material, bring it up a little bit higher so that I can now start mowing everything at the same height. So I'll be going through that process. I'll show you all the products I used as well as my technique on how to level and then how to maintain your project after that to make sure you get the most out of it. So here are the two products that I'm going to be using. Just a 3 cubic foot bag of peat moss that I was able to get at Lowe's. I think it's just right at about $12. And this one, as far as I can tell, does not have any fertilizer already mixed in. I have seen ones out there that have a 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 mixed in. So I'm going to be using this XGN DIY fertilizer. It's a very mild fertilizer, has lots of other micronutrients in it as well as hardwood biochar, and I plan to use that kind of coming back after I've leveled the lawn to add a little bit of fertilizer to the peat moss. You can see these are the areas right here and right here that I'm somewhat talking about. They're not terrible, they just are not as pretty as these areas over here. Here's where I had a tree removed, so that area is starting to fill in nicely. But right in these areas right here, I just have a lot of seed heads, and it's not nearly as thick as I want the lawn to be. So that's where I'm coming back and adding material to promote some growth. I did a big lawn leveling project last year where I used lots of masonry sand. And although the masonry sand turned out great, the lawn is nice and level, there are some areas where I feel are hot spots in the lawn where the masonry sand is getting warm and kind of preventing that growth outward with the grass. So I'm going to come back in with a little bit more organic material, fill in. Hopefully that will help promote a little bit better growth from the lawn. So after I finished earlier, it was brutally hot, super humid here in North Texas. We've got a line of thunderstorms coming in tomorrow, so the humidity is just off the charts. So I just wanted to go sit in the air conditioning for a while, but you can see now I've got everything spread out. Pretty easy process. The peat moss goes a lot further than even I was kind of expecting. I have done this before, but with smaller, compacted bags of peat moss. This one, the bag, it was 3 cubic feet, but in a very small bag, if you will. So it's almost like vacuum sealed in there, so as you open it up and move the peat moss around, it just kind of continued to grow. So I got it all spread out everywhere I wanted to. I've watered a couple times today as well to get the peat moss to start to settle kind of in with the grass. I've also spread out a little bit of that XGN DIY, the 818 with the biochar and carbon in it. So far I think it's looking pretty nice. So it takes your pretty awesome lawn and you just have these brown spots now. Give this a week or two max and all of that area is going to be grown in. So you can see these areas a little bit more wet than this area right here. The awesome thing about peat moss is how much water it holds on to, so it'll keep this area moist. So this stuff is really good also for your planter boxes. I've got some planter boxes over here that I built that I've mixed a bunch of peat moss in as well. Just because of these hot Texas summers, you don't have to water necessarily as often because the peat moss will hold on. You can see down in here, this is all still really moist because it's all pretty much peat moss. So you do have to come back and add nutrients and things like that, but overall the peat moss does a really good job of maintaining that soil moisture. Got my son out here. He loves running the tractor through the dirt. He pretty much has all of his toys down in the dirt. When he's in the backyard, all he wants to do is play in the dirt. So that's my process for a light lawn leveling. If I was doing a heavy lawn leveling, I would come in with some masonry sand, start to mix that into the peat moss as well, and I would be doing it across the entire lawn. But because we only had some small areas that we were concerned with today, just a little bit of peat moss, adding that in, it's going to help retain moisture, keep that lawn cool in these hot summers, as well as be able to absorb some of those nutrients and give the lawn something that it wants to grow into. Did that all for about $20 worth of peat moss and a couple dollars worth of some really good fertilizer. And I would say that that's plain awesome. See ya!